Well, Jason Black decided to go after pro-black expat bros and wasn't too pleased at what I had to say about it. I hold my fellow Louisianian in very high regard, but I'm built a little different from his other followers. Everyone has their blind spots, and I'm willing to address them. Let's define terms, shall we? Passport Bros is a hashtag. There are a lot of black expats that use that moniker. Some are Garveyites, some are Pan-Africanists, and some are just generally pro-black expats. Yes, they could rebrand due to the criticism, but catching lightning in the bottle again isn't easy and it destroys momentum. That's what happens when you let your enemies define you. You can't build momentum running from name to name. Think I'm joking? Consider Black Lives Matter. There are a lot of different things that black expat content focuses on. Sometimes it's cost of living, sometimes it's business, and sometimes, yes, it's women. Often they'll use women and relationships as a hook to talk about financials, which many would consider boring in the content. You can't reach people if nobody hears your message, so you have to mask the financials. One thing that Jason argued was that American culture is world culture. While American culture does have significant impact, it's not binary, it's a spectrum. Case in point, the divorce rate. Here it hovers around 44%, and in Brazil it hovers around 21%. In Tanzania, it's in the single digits. And that's a relevant cultural difference for someone looking for a low divorce rate. Now, he could have argued that Colombia was oversold because they looked at the raw divorce rate of 0.7 per 1,000 and didn't acknowledge the low marriage rate that makes it effectively 30%. This is comparable to the 2023 percentage in the US for first-time marriage that was around 33%. Although that year is likely an anomaly, it's still a fact. And that's the correct argument, but that's not the argument that he made. Instead, he decided to malign and disparage an entire country primarily over a city that has a lower homicide rate than the one that he lives in. And that's what I pointed out here. I put out the stats for some US cities, mostly in Louisiana. And he went into some ad hominems and questioned the data and said that there were no citations, so I gladly posted it. As a matter of fact, I'll even further explain it. So you have the FBI crime data, and I cited that. The problem with the FBI data is that it's typically an undercount. Now, the best data comes from each individual city. They'll put that on their .gov site. Shreveport has their data. Baton Rouge has their data. Memphis kind of has their data, but it's kind of hard to get to it. They don't have the latest and the greatest, and you end up having to go through news reports instead. So that's how you get your homicide totals. Now you have to go and get your population data so you can make an apples to apples comparison. And to do that, now you have to go to the US Census Bureau. Thankfully, they have an easy.gov website for that. Now the Medellin data comes from Medellin Advisors, which was using dual sources, basically some from the outside and then from the mayor's office as well. So you can see what they came up with on that. So the homicide totals were about 392 for 2022, but that's for a population of 2.5 million. And that's using the last census data. Some sources say that the actual population of the city is closer to 4 million. So when you do the apples to apples comparison, Medellin actually has a lower homicide rate than all of those cities that I listed, including Shreveport. Even if we did say the homicide rate in Medellin was super high, one city does not define an entire country. One country does not define the entire world. The big picture is that there are emerging markets and other groups are going to make out like bandits. TBA calling pro-black expats ex-tourists and them calling him a plantation bro doesn't get us the most bang for our buck. You want to note that I didn't say anything insulting or disrespectful, but I did stand on the truth. One could argue against running from place to place, but that's not really what you're doing when you're grabbing your piece of the world. Remember those dollar amounts about what's high value in the US? Well, those numbers are going to be different in areas where the average annual salary is under 20 grand, like Colombia. You should definitely be the best that you can be, but let's not fall into false dichotomy. It's about getting a better deal. And true freedom and empowerment is when you don't have someone else control where your body is for most of your waking hours in the day. People are putting in a whole lot of effort to build the best pro-black expat communities that they can right now. To be honest, we really should be working together. No disrespect, no insults, just facts and math. But you may not do the same. As always, follow the truth. Check out my other videos and consider subscribing.